I know you have a friend, okay? I've run into maybe a couple of my friends. I've run into a lot of listeners over the last couple of years. Twitter guys, right? All this stuff. I've gotten it from different people. So, and I'm sure you know somebody. Maybe you are that person also. And now you got to check yourself before, because you've already wrecked yourself. Okay? Those people that now need to check themselves because they're not avoiding from wrecking, they already wrecked themselves. And those are the people that said Pat Riley's lost it. I mean, you heard that interview with Albert Ahmad. He broke it down. Okay, and in 25 years, Pat Riley had a really bad stretch for 2 years that he set the team back for a couple of years. Yes, he did. He screwed up, and I'm the first one to tell you he screwed up. But I was the first one to tell you, I don't care. You got to fight. We'll fight through it. We'll survive. Riley has earned the right to fight himself out of this hole. And it wasn't an easy hole because they were terrible contracts. And the first couple of years, nobody was touching those contracts. Now in these last 2 years, this year and now next year, now you have more flexibility, which is what you kind of expected, that more people would be willing to take on those contracts, either this trading deadline, the offseason, or next trading deadline. You knew you were going to get rid of them at that point. And so a lot of people gave up on Riley. There's a lot of you out there. Maybe some of you that are watching right now, maybe you'd, send in a text now. And by the way, don't forget to give us a thumbs up on the broadcast while you're watching. But a lot of you out there that gave up on Riley, where are you now? Maybe you want to apologize. Maybe you want to step up a little bit now. Because Riley, as you heard Albert say, he now is acquiring a couple pieces to get you better. Maybe get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They now are, I think they got a shot to get there now. Because I don't fear Toronto, Boston, or who am I missing? Philly. Okay? Milwaukee, they're on another level. It's going to be, you're going to need like Giannis to be banged up a little bit to advance past Milwaukee. But it is, I think, realistic enough to think that your pinnacle probably could be the Eastern Conference Finals, which would be one hell of a year. It would be amazing because this front office has found Duncan, has found Nunn, you know what I mean? Has found Carlos Silva, has found, who else am I missing? There's one more that I'm missing. Anyway, whatever. So, Tyler. And then, you're able to then make these moves for Butler, for Iggy, for Gallinari, to go with what you have already. Man, that's executive of the year material right there for the Miami Heat. The guy that some of you gave up on. And if you gave up on Riley, not only should you be apologetic, but do you feel guilty? Do you feel dirty? Because that's the part I never understood about the people that wanted to give up on Riley. Hey, look, you want to critique Riley? I'll do it. I got no problem. He deserves it, and he's good with that, by the way. Riley's the first guy to tell you I screwed up.
You actually have critiqued him pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
Been like, hey, screwed up.
He screwed
31 and 10.
Screwed up.
Went,
but never said give up on him. Never said fired. Never said he's lost his fastball. Never said any of that. Every time what I said is you got to let him fight out of it because he's earned that right. He has. He's earned that right. Just like when Shula had a 6-10 year or an 8-8, which would happen, I don't know, out of his 30 years, maybe once out of every 10 years, he had one of those bad seasons that everything didn't go well and whatever. You didn't want to fire Shula. You didn't say, oh, the old man's lost it. No, you gave him the opportunity to come back because he's earned that right. And by the way, when we finally booted him out, I think we learned that all the guys that came after him still aren't better than him. Okay? So I learned my lesson, and I've mentioned this too, that Shula experience. Because I was one of those idiots at the end of his thing. Well, yeah, no, salary cap is in. Shula's, there's a different game now, and maybe Shula's lost his fastball. Boy, were we wrong. He might not have been his best at that time, but still better than most of the stuff that you've hired since. You know what I'm saying? So
the only complaint really, and still holding on to Oliver Dottie as long as he did.
Sandusky was also, there was some moments there too. He did a couple.
To go from Arnsparger to
down the stretch, there were a bunch of things that didn't go well for him. The trade for Eric Green and Hugh Green he traded for and then blew out his knee, and you never really saw the real Hugh Green. And I could just go on and talk about all kinds of things that either he didn't do well with Sammy Smith, or you had bad luck with David Overstreet. Whatever. It was just one thing after another, and it just seemed to happen. But for whatever, we gave up on Shula, and we paid the price, okay? And I learned from that moment that, okay, well, if this ever happens again, I'm not giving up on the guy. And I saw people do that with Riley, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that this time. I made the mistake once. I learned my lesson. I'm staying with my wingman, okay? I'm pulling a Maverick. I'm not leaving my wingman. Okay, I'm staying here. I'm staying by Riley, and eventually he'll figure it out. And here he is. He's figuring it out, and he's getting through it, and he's doing things that we even haven't seen him do, which he has a youth movement going and developing young guys, which normally he would have shipped out all these ass young guys that got in and go get veterans to put them over the top. You know what I'm saying? So, kudos to Riley. He's adjusted too, kind of, with all of this. Now, maybe he had Wade, and he was young, but he was a young stud. Maybe that's what it is, that if he likes you as a young stud, then he'll stick with you. If he doesn't think there's stud in you, then he just moves you. I don't know. However you want to look at it. But for those of you that gave up on Riley, you were wrong. You were wrong. You need to apologize, okay? You need to post it on social media. You need to look at your best friend in the eye and say, that discussion we had about Riley, I was wrong, dude. That's what you guys need to do, because too many people out there gave up on the guy that brought you 3 titles, 5 trips to the NBA Finals, and brought you Wade and Shaq and Zoe and Timmy and Bosh and you name it, man. We could just keep going on and on and on and on and on. All the players that he's brought in 25 years, a lot of good players. And look, he just acquired Andre Iguodala. That I know he's not a star anymore at this point. He's probably a role player at this point, but a role player with championship pedigree. That's pretty studly. And that's exactly what Pat Riley is. Totally studly.